Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to the 1989 Royal Rumble review this time. Where this time it's on pay-per-view, unlike the 1988 Rumble. This time it's in America, unlike the 88 Rumble. Gorilla Monsoon is back on commentary with Jesse the Body Ventura, unlike 1988, where it was Vince McMahon. So this one just felt a lot more normal, and this one also had a 30-man Rumble, unlike the year before, which was a 20-man. So this Rumble felt a little bit more formulaic, and it's interesting if you're to Google Royal Rumble 1989 review, mine is the first that pops up. So I am going to be reading a bit from my own review. I'm Brett Mix, Brettmix. I used to work for a wrestling website. If you Google the review, you can see what site I worked at. And I mention that in all my reviews because I don't want anyone to think I'm plagiarizing. These are my reviews, and the webmaster is Daniel B. That is his name. If anyone was to accuse me of taking anything online, I know no one would. This disclaimer is probably not even necessary, but I just thought I'd say that just in case. Anyway, I like to go through the events. I'm going to go through a lot of events, especially the Royal Rumble in chronological order. So if you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button and help me get off my feet here as I just opened up this YouTube channel to talk wrestling. And I have infinite knowledge. As I said before, I necessitate the proper intellect of any wrestling fan, any memory. I'm sure you can too. If you're interested in watching wrestling reviews, chances are you are like me and you have the intellect as well. So let's just talk wrestling together. That's the whole point. So, anyways, let's dive right into the 1989 Royal Rumble from Houston, Texas. As that was a terrible Vince McMahon impression, and he is not commentating anyway. Remember, it's Gorilla Monsoon with Jesse the Body Ventura. Few facts before we get going. This was Harley Race's last WWF match. Might have been his last match altogether, but his last match with Haku during this event. This event also, as I said, on pay-per-view as opposed to the year before, also 30 men, as you'd see the year before. It's the first of two Rumbles where the WWF champion is in the match and gets eliminated, so doesn't even win the match. And there wasn't really a reward for winning the Rumble at this point. That will come in 1993. More on that later. The opening match was a six-man contest between Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They faced the fabulous Russo brothers and Dino Bravo with Frankie Martin and Jimmy Hart. This was a 2 out of 3 falls match. And I remember that the crowd was really into it. They always loved stacking the tag matches back then to open shows. Sort of like in the late 90s with WCW, how they'd put cruiserweight action in the beginning. If you have the great technical workers and the people that are going to pop the crowd, why not do it that way? So, smart booking move making this the first match. Whereas the year before, the 2 out of 3 falls tag matches were headlining the show. That wasn't the smartest of moves, as I went over in my 1988 review. All right, so at the end of this match, as it was a fast-paced one, we saw the Hacksaw Jim Duggan bring out his 2x4, and in the end, at 15:42, Duggan clobbered Bravo, and Bret Hart pinned him, and the place goes wild, pretty much. The Hart Foundation defeated him. Solid storytelling for a 2 out of 3 falls match. It was executed quite well. The beatdown of Bret in this match reminded me of the Demolition Hart Foundation matches from similar time around the same time, just a little bit later after this event. So, like I say, a pretty good opener. I give that 3 stars. All right, the next match was Rockin' Robin versus Judy Martin for the Women's Championship. I'll never sing Rockin' Robin again ever. Sorry. So, Sensational Sherry actually joined Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura on commentary for this match. Just licking her chops, seeing who she might be facing at a future WrestleMania or what have you. And I remember Sensational Sherry's voice during this match really bothering me. She's a heel, Scary Sherry, right? She was trying to get over that way, but she's no Owen Hart from King of the Ring 96, let's just say that. Or no Art Donovan from King of the Ring 94, thank God. Anyway, this match was good. I remember the two having great chemistry, went back and forth. I've rewatched a lot of these events, but this is a match I didn't rewatch, so I'm just looking back at my notes for my last review. I do want to customize all the reviews I have now and look at them again when I do a rewatch. See what ratings change. See what ratings stay the same. So let's check this out. Both these two ladies, like I said, good chemistry. And then at the end, when Rocket Robin pinned Martin after a flying crossbody, Sensational Sherry screams, "No!" And at 16:24, the bout was decided. At 16:24, they gave these ladies that match. A lot of lame put downs from Sherry on commentary. And the action was sloppy in parts. It wasn't booked well. Some moves were hit and miss. The ladies tried. You have to give them that. But due to the timing and pacing, this match has to subtract some points from there. So I gave it a star rating and a quarter. Yeah, that's. I didn't rewatch it, so I'm going to have to keep that. A star rating and a quarter. It's 1.25. So a little bit of a disappointing match after a hot 6-man, 2 out of 3 falls opener. Next is the aforementioned Harley Race match. The Bobby the Brain Heenan came out with him, and Bobby the Brain Heenan also was the manager of his opponent, King Haku. So Jesse the Body Ventura sent things up to the Fink, and the Fink announced both these guys. And Jesse Ventura was hilarious on commentary here, setting this one up for whatever reason. I didn't remember it when I rewatched this event, but nonetheless, this was a slower match. You might expect that with aging Harley Race and Haku. However, it was a bit stiff in spots, and the chemistry was pretty good. It wasn't really that bad by any means, but to be expected. Haku pinned Race after a reverse thrust kick at 9:01 in the end. And that's that. Could have been a bit shorter, and I gave that a star with 3/4. 1.75 I gave that match. Now we're down to the Royal Rumble, the fourth match of the night. I should mention though, there was 2 dark matches before this this Royal Rumble match happened, and once again we get another Royal Rumble that's not I was gonna say not the main event, but it is the main event. Sorry. I was just confused for a second there. Jim Powers defeated Barry Horowitz, and Sam Houston defeated Steve Lombardi. Those were the 2 dark matches before this 1989 Royal Rumble. A lot of great promos before this match. This is the main event. And what's very notable about this event and the start of this match is Axe and Smash. Are they going to go at it? They're the first 2 entrants, Demolition. And they just had that awesome Demolition theme. Here comes the Axe. Here comes the Smasher. We're Demolition. Rockin' Disaster. Something like that. But just fucking great. I can't believe they didn't throw it on the. No, they did throw it on the Royal Rumble anthology. They didn't throw it on the WrestleMania anthology. But the Royal Rumble anthology, they did. And it really was great. And of course, who is Demolition going to face off of? Number 3 coming in. It's Andre the Giant with Heenan. And you really see the size of Andre when he sits next to Axe and Smash. So they'd obviously double team the Giant as any other competitors would double team the biggest man in the Rumble. And all of a sudden, number 4 came out, and it was Mr. Perfect. And Mr. Perfect was sort of a newbie in the WWF, but not to the wrestling scene. He had just obviously had his classics in the late 80s in other territories, and McMahon was obviously mindful of that. Rugged Ronnie Garvin was number 5, and then Greg Valentine was number 6. Jake the Snake was number 7. He came out to the biggest pop of the Rumble match so far. He also was an early entry in the 88th Rumble, and he goes after Andre when he comes out, and that Mm, just get a nauseous feeling because Jake the Snake and Andre the Giant at the same part of the match. They faced each other later at that year's WrestleMania 5 in 1989. That was one of the worst matches of all time. So when Jake attacked Andre in the Rumble here, what I'm reading, I'm refreshing my memory, I just pictured when we watched it. It just brings back those nauseous memories of Jake and Andre, a slow match. Just terrible. Just terrible. Ron Bass came out next, and he went after Mr. Perfect. Andre the Giant was making elimination after elimination as he threw out his WrestleMania rival Jake the Snake. And Shawn Michaels makes his Royal Rumble debut as a lot of the ladies scream. Mr. Perfect eliminated the last member of Demolition, and that was Axe that was still in the ring. Michaels and Mr. Perfect had great chemistry inside the ring, two former AWA wrestlers, and that's where I wanted to mention Mr. Perfect with his previous 80s success. The AWA, I knew it was another territory. I didn't want to say WCCW, but it's the AWA, duh. And it was matches with Nick Bockwinkel. Those were the ones I was thinking of. I think he even fought Jerry Lawler to a good match, too. At one point, I knew this. The Honky Tonk Man came out at number 10. He came out with Jimmy Hart. I love when they have the managers come out with them in the Rumble match. Tito Santana, who opened last year's Rumble, comes out. Lucky number 13 is Bad News Brown. Marty Jannetty came out 14. And then at 15, the WWF Champion comes out, the Macho Man Randy Savage, to the pop of the night. Interesting how he turns heel right after this event, but he came out to the pop of the night because he had been WWF champion for about a year at this point. He outpops Hogan. I remember that from this event. He literally outpops Hogan, one of the only times ever. But at this event, he outpopped him when they watch the two pops when Savage comes out at 15 compared to when Hogan comes out at 18. You'll see it. Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard come out in the middle of Hogan and Savage, so a couple of tag teams there. I love when they always stack a tag team member right next to a guy right next to the tag team member, so it's not as obvious that they booked it, but we all know they book it, and that Royal Rumbles would be horrible if they didn't book it. So that secret's not really a damning one. Coco Beware, the Warlord, the Big Boss Man, Brutus Beefcake. This is Brutus Beefcake's only appearance in a Royal Rumble match. Just a side note there. The Red Rooster, the Barbarian, and at number 27, keynote, Big John Studd. Hercules, Rick Martel, and the 30th entry is the guy that bought the 30th entrant, Ted DiBiase, as he strutted to the ring. So, those were the last guys in the ring. It was Hercules, Big John Studd, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and Ted DiBiase went for Studd. The Barbarian slammed Rick Martel, and DiBiase pounded on him. The final four, DiBiase worked on Martel. Akeem was worked over by Big John Studd. But then both big men work over DiBiase. He's the freshest man in, and he went to the top and came off with a double axe handle to the eyes of Big John Studd. Akeem then speared Studd in the corner and hit shoulder blocks into the stomach of Studd. The $1 Million Man then instructed Akeem, the African Dream, to hit him with a big power move, and he wanted to hit Studd with an avalanche. Big John Studd then eliminated Akeem moving out of the way, and the fans went crazy. We're down to the final two in Ted DiBiase and Big John Studd. So DiBiase, the number 30 entrant who bought that great spot, he's now the freshest in the ring, and he's in the last final two. But he's got that Big John Studd across the corner from him. Studd caught him by the throat and threw him in the corner. Then Studd caught DiBiase by the leg. He turned DiBiase around and gave him a flying forearm smash before a big body slam. These two went at it for the next few minutes, and all of a sudden, Big John Studd, tossed DiBiase over the top rope and won the Rumble after that double axe hammer drop. Virgil came in at the end and hit John Studd, but to no avail as Big John Studd threw out Virgil as well. Had that little spot there, confused for a second. Studd celebrated a moment that will live with him forever. After the match, the Macho Man came out with Elizabeth, and he told me also after the match, Macho Man came out with Elizabeth. Yeah, I was just stuttering for a second because I was like, Macho Man, didn't he miss the Rumble? He missed the '88 Rumble, not the '89 Rumble, where I talked about earlier how he had the biggest pop. Just there's where the editing thing comes in. I'm not editing my reviews just yet, and that part would have been better. But anyways, 3 stars and a quarter for this Rumble, 3.25 stars. Uh, this Royal Rumble, they're getting their feet on the ground, let's just say, with Royal Rumble matches. This was a good one, and I believe they get better as they go. And the only way to find out is to tune into the next one, which I'll be doing fairly shortly. Final rating for this event, 6 out of 10, and I'll stick to that on a rewatch and a re-review. This event was good. The opening match wasn't good. There's some mid card matches that were a tad disappointing. The pose down between Rude and Warrior I didn't mention. That was a little bit not disappointing, but just could be avoided. Much like the Triple H Scott Steiner pose down leading to the Rumble, ironically, event in 2003. So a good Rumble match saves it, and I thought this show was very well done. If you look at it from the what was important, get the important stuff out of the way, the hot 6 man opener, and yeah, it ended great. But I thought maybe the winner could have been different. But it really it puts credibility on the Royal Rumble name for the winner to be a big man like Big John Studd because when the way they build the Rumble is, you have to have agility and leverage. You have to stay on your feet. You have to find somewhere to hide. So to make the winner Big John Studd before the winners didn't go on to WrestleMania, like they started that in '93 with Yoko, but when you look back at it, it helps the credibility of the Rumble to have a guy like Big John Studd win. So it's not overall a terrible choice, but nonetheless, it was one that they decided to take in 1989. Savage and Hogan was the main story as they got into it during that Rumble. I forgot to mention they kind of went head to head. The elimination of Savage kind of didn't sit too well with him as he sort of bumped heads with Hogan there. Nonetheless, as I said, can't complain about this Royal Rumble. 6 out of 10. And on to the next one. Well, there'll be more trivia and facts. This one was a little bit low on that, but we'll get that as